I love this first recipe because it's so quick and convenient. It's really filled the gap in my life for the need of any lollies or hard candies. You just start by pitting some dates, very simply. You can just peel them open, take the pits out, and then you stuff them full with a nut butter of your choice. I've actually made my own almond butter here just by putting in a cup of almonds in a blender on high speed until it turned into a butter. But you could use any nut butter you like. There's heaps of delicious things you can stuff in dates. It could be cashew butter, macadamia butter if you're really indulgent. And hey presto, that's actually this recipe finished. Now you can place them in the freezer for a couple hours, but you don't have to. It just makes the texture a bit funner. They've got a bit more of a chew to them, reminds you a bit of candy, or you can eat them straight away. So next up we're making the very in-trend bliss balls. I'm starting out by soaking some dates in boiling water just until they're easy enough to mash with a fork. And I'll mash them until they turn into a paste / a batter which I can mix the other ingredients into. You can do that in a high-speed blender as well, but not everyone's got one. That's cocoa powder, oats, and I'll also add in some nut butter again. I'll leave all the instructions / methods for these recipes in the description box below if you're wondering about quantities. And now I'm just going to mix the batter together. Of course, if you're doing this in the blender, you can do the whole process in the blender, but even with the fork, this takes you a matter of minutes, and then I just roll them into the ball shape with the palm of my hands. Okay, here we are with our third and final recipe for the day, and it's nice cream time. These are some bananas I've just frozen overnight. I used 3 or 4, and I've just broken them up into chunks, which is going to make it a bit easier for the blender. In goes a dash of soy milk, and it's time to blend. Now, the biggest recommendation I can make for this recipe is that you really do pick ripe bananas. That's where all the flavour and that sweetness is coming from. So the riper the bananas are, the more your ice cream will resemble ice cream. Ice cream is super easy to make. There's so many things you can put in these mixes. Bananas always form the base, but you can get really creative and have a lot of fun doing this. I really wish I'd grown up knowing about this recipe. It would have made me a lot more healthy if every time instead of ice cream I'd eat in frozen bananas, because they really do taste just as good. Here's my partner's choice. She's got some cocoa powder in there, but you really can be inspired and top your ice cream or blend whatever you want in there. And it's pretty easy to have some fun and come up with some delicious healthy snacks. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I personally keep my sweet teeth satisfied, and I also hope that if you're anything like me and you do like sweet things, that you do give these recipes a go. As you've seen, they are so incredibly simple. They taste just as good as the other stuff, if not better, and most importantly, they leave you feeling so much better. I often talk about meditation on this channel, but I actually think eating whole food, plant-based, more fruits and vegetables, legumes, and reducing the intake of foods that have minimal or negative nutritional value, that will change your life more readily than meditation. If you want to feel radiant and abundant, meditation is like the 1% that changes everything. But diet, in my mind, is like 70% of your well-being. And then there's positivity, exercise, sleep, hygiene, and education that probably make up the rest. And of course, luck really determines a lot too. I wish I had these recipes in my life a lot sooner. When I think about, and I'm being absolutely serious, the amount of cookies I have eaten, the amount of fast food and cheesecake, that's always been my favorite dessert. I used to have a problem that I was digging myself into, and it was compounding. I used to buy snacks from the supermarket and then eat them in my car and get very depressed and moody and then hungry again, only to repeat this vicious cycle because, of course, there's no lasting fiber for satiation or nutrition for well-being in the foods I used to eat. When I was 22, I ended up going to the doctors because I had developed gut problems and I was prescribed several drugs. But no one in the vicinity of me, my doctor, family or friends, thought to look at the nutrition. It occurred to nobody, Sonam's been driving to the supermarket at midnight to buy donuts and candy bars again. That might be the cause of his stomach problems. I used to have a couple family-sized cakes and chocky shakes in a day. Baked goods were my hamasha. I wish I'd known better. All that time, destroying myself and causing years worth of damage I'd later have to heal from. I could have been meeting my needs just as well by eating the recipes in this video or recipes of the same nature. These days, my go-to sweetness is dates. Dates are the healthiest sweetener on the planet. They, along with molasses, are the only health-promoting sweeteners. Agave nectar has the exact same nutritional value as regular refined white sugar. Brown rice syrup is actually worse than white sugar. And honey and maple syrup are also both essentially empty calories. So you should be aware of health food desserts that bite off more promises than you should chew. This information about sweeteners is from the same doctor/nutritionist and health advocate that I base all my eating off of. This man's work has led to a complete 180 reversal in my health and quality of life. It's Dr. Michael Greger. He runs a non-profit organization, nutritionfacts.org, that has a website and a YouTube channel where he reviews the latest scientific literature on nutrition to promote life-changing information. Information that is often otherwise submerged by corporations and entities that care more about their money than your livelihood. My partner's weekly video showed 5 dinner meals we ate this week. So if you'd like to know some savory whole food plant-based meals, you can watch her video. Relevant links below. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe to support the creation of this content, and I'll see you next time.